I'm going to start with something you've probably felt before. You see a laser engraver on a page. The pictures make it look like a magic wand that'll turn a plain metal tag into a polished piece of art in minutes. Then you get it, set it up, and the reality is a lot more fiddly-focused tweaks, cooling fans humming, alignment headaches. That gap between the glossy listing and the day-to-day grind is why I wanted to make a video that actually walks you through what it's like to own a 50-watt fiber laser like the Monport. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the kind of work this machine is built for. A 2020 centimeters work area and a 50W fiber source put it squarely in the small batch metal engraving lane. If you're a jewelry maker who needs to add serial numbers, or a maker who wants to etch logos on a stainless steel brackets, the size is generous enough to handle a few parts at once without feeling cramped. The 10,000 millimeters per second scan speed sounds impressive on paper, and in practice it does shave a few seconds off each pass, which you'll notice when you're running a batch of 10 or 20 pieces. One thing that often trips people up with fiber lasers is heat management. Monport's version comes with 2 extra cooling fans that they added as an upgrade. In my testing, the fans kept the head temperature steady even after an hour of continuous engraving, which helped maintain consistent power output. The trade-off is a noticeable whine that can be a bit distracting if you're working in a quiet studio. It's not a deal-breaker, but it's something to keep in mind if you need a silent environment. The user interface is deliberately simple. You power up, hit the home button, and the built-in workspace grid appears on the screen. The grid is adjustable, which is handy when you're trying to line up multiple parts for a single run. The red dot finder is the other piece of extra laser guidance that Monport advertises. After you spend a few minutes calibrating it, basically aligning the red dot with the actual laser spot, you get a visual cue that tells you where the beam will hit. For me, that saved a lot of wasted material. The downside is that the calibration isn't saved automatically. Each time you power down, you have to repeat the process, which adds a few minutes to your startup routine. Manual focus is another area where the machine leans on the user. There's no autofocus sensor, so you have to turn the focus knob while watching the laser spot on a sacrificial piece of metal. It's not rocket science, but it does require a steady hand and a bit of practice. Once you get the feel for it, you can lock in a focus setting for a given material thickness and reuse it, but swapping between thin aluminum and thicker stainless steel means you'll be tweaking again. If you're planning to stick to one material thickness, the manual focus won't bother you. If you expect to jump around a lot, you might wish for an automated solution. Now, let's get into the real-world results. I ran a set of test runs on stainless steel, brass, and a piece of 14-karat gold. The 50W source handled stainless steel nicely, producing crisp lines that stayed true to the vector file. Brass gave a slightly deeper engraving, which is typical because the material absorbs more energy. The gold, being softer, showed a subtle burn mark around the edges if you pushed the power too high, but with a modest power setting you still got legible text without noticeable discoloration. The key takeaway is that the machine is versatile across common metals, but you do need to dial in the right power-speed combo for each material. There's no one-size-fits-all preset. One practical strength that often gets glossed over in spec sheets is the software workflow. Monport bundles a basic vector editor that lets you import SVG files, position them on the grid, and assign power levels. It's not as feature-rich as a dedicated CAD package, but it's enough for hobbyists who want to drop a design in and press go. If you already work in software like Lightburn or CorelDRAW, you can export a compatible file and the machine will understand it. The only hiccup I ran into was occasional lag when loading very complex vectors, think hundreds of tiny nodes. The system slowed down enough that the preview felt choppy, though the actual engraving still completed accurately. Who should buy this? If you're a small business owner who needs to produce engraved metal parts on a regular basis, think custom nameplates, serial numbers on machine components, or personalized jewelry, this unit hits a sweet spot between capability and price. The 50W fiber source gives you enough power to cut through thin metal without resorting to a 100W industrial system, and the 2020 centimeters bed is large enough for most small batch jobs. The fact that the laser source is a Rakis model, known for a long service life, adds confidence that you won't be